The ancient enigmas that defy history. There are places in this world that defy explanation. Ancient structures too massive to be moved with primitive tools, mysterious artifacts that challenge what we think we know about history, and entire civilizations that vanished without a trace. These aren't myths or legends. These are real, documented mysteries that archaeologists and historians still struggle to understand. How were they built? Who made them? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, what else is still out there, waiting to be found? From colossal stone blocks no modern crane could lift to civilizations buried beneath the ocean, today we're diving deep into some of the strangest, most unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the places where history itself seems to break apart. Chapter 1. The Impossible Stones of Baalbek. Hidden in the heart of Lebanon lies a place that seems to defy logic. Baalbek, an ancient site that has baffled historians for centuries. While the ruins of Roman temples dedicated to Jupiter, Venus, and Bacchus stand tall, it's what lies beneath them that truly captures our curiosity. The Baalbek megaliths, staggeringly massive limestone blocks, form the foundation of the temple complex. These aren't just large stones. They are among the heaviest ever moved by human hands. The largest, known as the trilithon, consists of 3 blocks, each weighing between 800 and 1,000 tons. Stacked 12 meters above the ground with no visible mortar, they appear to have been set into place with precision that modern engineers would struggle to replicate. And yet, there's an even larger stone, the so-called Stone of the Pregnant Woman, lying abandoned in a nearby quarry. It weighs a staggering 1,200 tons, larger than any known monolithic stone used in construction anywhere in the world. But here's the real mystery: how were these stones moved? Chapter 2. The Roman Connection, or something older. Mainstream archaeologists believe that the Romans, known for their architectural prowess, were responsible for the placement of these stones. After all, they built aqueducts, amphitheaters, and temples that have stood for thousands of years. But there's a problem. No known Roman engineering feat ever attempted to lift or move stones of this size. Even the most advanced Roman construction projects, including the Colosseum and the Pantheon, used much smaller blocks, nothing close to 1,000 tons. It's as if the Romans built their temples on top of something far older. Some researchers suggest that the site was originally built by the Phoenicians, an ancient maritime civilization that once ruled the Mediterranean. Others push the timeline even further back, claiming that Baalbek predates the Phoenicians entirely, meaning it could be thousands of years older than recorded history suggests. If that's true, then the obvious question is, who built it? And more importantly, how? Chapter 3. Lost Technologies and Forgotten Knowledge. Some believe that the builders of Baalbek had access to a lost form of ancient technology, one that allowed them to move massive objects with ease. But what kind of technology could that be? One theory suggests the use of counterweights and pressure manipulation, an advanced system of levers and pulleys beyond what we currently understand. Another more controversial theory proposes that ancient civilizations may have understood the use of acoustic levitation, a technique where sound frequencies are used to reduce the weight of objects, making them easier to transport. It sounds like science fiction, but there are reports from Tibetan monks and ancient texts that describe the use of sound to move massive stones. Could it be that civilizations in the distant past possessed knowledge that has since been lost? And if they did, what else did they know? Chapter 4. The Extraterrestrial Hypothesis. Now, here's where things take a turn into the truly bizarre. For decades, ancient astronaut theorists have pointed to Baalbek as evidence of extraterrestrial intervention. The sheer size and precision of the megaliths have led some to believe that the site was not just a temple, but something more, perhaps a landing platform for ancient visitors from beyond Earth. The theory suggests that Baalbek's location and alignment may have had astronomical significance. The massive stones may have been placed using advanced technology beyond human capability. Ancient myths and legends from the region speak of gods descending from the sky, Could these stories be echoes of something real? Of course, mainstream archaeologists dismiss this idea, pointing out that there is no direct evidence of extraterrestrial involvement. But even without invoking aliens, the question remains, why did ancient builders choose such impossibly massive stones? What if Baalbek was something more than just a religious site? What if it had a purpose we don't yet understand? Chapter 5. The Mystery of the Quarry. One of the strangest aspects of Baalbek is that we can see where the stones came from. The quarry, located about a kilometer away, contains several massive stones that were left unfinished. But if the builders were capable of moving 1,000-ton blocks, why did they abandon some of the largest ones? One possibility is that something stopped construction, a sudden catastrophe, an invasion, or even a loss of the knowledge needed to complete the project. Another possibility is that the site itself was repurposed over time. What if Baalbek was originally built for something else entirely, and the Romans merely adapted it into a temple complex? It wouldn't be the first time in history that ancient sites were repurposed by later civilizations. But if Baalbek is truly thousands of years older than we think, it raises a chilling question. How many other ancient sites might hold secrets beneath their foundations? Conclusion. The mystery remains. After centuries of study, Baalbek remains one of history's greatest engineering puzzles. If a civilization thousands of years ago had the capability to transport and position these stones, what else were they capable of? If the Romans simply built on top of something older, who built it first? And if an unknown civilization once had the technology to move these megaliths, why was that knowledge lost? Maybe we'll never know. Maybe the answers are still hidden beneath the ruins, waiting to be uncovered. But one thing is certain, history is far more mysterious than we've been led to believe. And Baalbek is only the beginning. What's next? Baalbek isn't the only ancient mystery that forces us to rethink everything we know about history. Across the world, artifacts, maps, and structures continue to defy explanation. And next, we move to one of the most debated pieces of evidence ever discovered, a 16th century map that appears to show Antarctica without ice. How is that possible, and what does it tell us about lost civilizations? The maps that shouldn't exist. For centuries, we've believed that history follows a clear timeline. Civilizations rise, develop technology, and leave behind records of their achievements. But what if that timeline isn't as straightforward as we think? There are ancient artifacts that don't fit the story we've been told, artifacts that suggest early humans had knowledge they shouldn't have had. And one of the most puzzling of them all is a 500-year-old map that appears to show something impossible, Antarctica, centuries before its official discovery. This is the mystery of the Piri Reis map, an ancient document that raises a troubling question. Did someone map Antarctica thousands of years ago, when it wasn't covered in ice? Chapter 1. The discovery of the Piri Reis map. Our story begins in 1929, inside the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, Turkey. A German theologian named Gustav Diesmann was cataloging old documents when he stumbled upon something unexpected, a fragment of a 16th century world map, drawn with incredible accuracy. The map was the work of Piri Reis, an Ottoman admiral, navigator, and cartographer who created it in 1513. At first glance, it seemed to be a typical early Renaissance-era map, showing the coastlines of Europe, Africa, and the newly discovered Americas. But when scholars examined it closely, they found something deeply unsettling. At the bottom of the map was a mysterious landmass. It resembled Antarctica, yet there was a major problem. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820, over 300 years later. Even more puzzling, the landmass was depicted without ice, as if someone had mapped it thousands of years earlier, when the continent was warm. How could this be possible? Chapter 2. Piri Reis and his sources. Piri Reis didn't claim to have drawn the map from scratch. Along the margins, he left handwritten notes explaining that his map was compiled from older charts and documents, some of which he claimed dated back to the time of Alexander the Great. He mentioned that he used 20 ancient charts and 8 new maps from sources including Greek and Roman era maps, Arab and Indian maps, supposedly even older sources that have since been lost. If his claim is true, then his map wasn't the first to depict this unknown land, it was preserving knowledge from a much older time. But how old? Chapter 3. The Ice-Free Antarctica Mystery. What makes the Piri Reis map so controversial is that it appears to depict Antarctica before it was covered in ice. Modern geological studies suggest that Antarctica may have been ice-free more than 6,000 years ago. Some evidence even suggests it may have had ice-free coastal regions as recently as 13,000 years ago, around the time human civilization was just beginning. If that's true, then whoever originally mapped the land beneath Antarctica's ice must have done so thousands of years before recorded history began. But who could have done that? There are only 3 possible explanations. 1. A lost civilization. An advanced maritime culture existed long before known history, capable of mapping the world with precision. 2. Surviving ancient knowledge. Ancient civilizations like the Phoenicians, Egyptians, or Greeks had access to much older maps that have since been lost. 3. A simple mistake. The Piri Reis map is being misinterpreted, and the landmass isn't Antarctica at all. Let's break down each possibility. Chapter 4. A lost civilization. One of the most radical theories is that the Piri Reis map is evidence of a lost advanced civilization, one that existed long before the Egyptians, Sumerians, or even the earliest recorded societies. The idea suggests that thousands of years ago, there was a seafaring culture with the ability to explore and map the globe. Some even believe that civilization may have been wiped out by a global catastrophe, possibly the Younger Dryas event, a sudden climate shift that occurred around 12,800 years ago, believed by some to have been triggered by a comet impact. Supporters of this theory point to Göbekli Tepe, the 12,000-year-old site in Turkey, as evidence that early humans were more advanced than previously thought. If people were already building massive stone structures at that time, could they have also been skilled navigators? And if so, what else did they know? Chapter 5. Surviving ancient knowledge. Another possibility is that the map is not proof of a lost civilization, but of lost knowledge. It's possible that early explorers, like the Phoenicians, Chinese, or even pre-Columbian European civilizations, traveled much further than history acknowledges. If so, they could have created maps based on ancient information passed down from unknown sources. We know that civilizations often copied older maps and that libraries like the Library of Alexandria held vast collections of knowledge that have since been lost. Could it be that some of that knowledge survived through hidden sources, eventually reaching Renaissance cartographers like Piri Reis? If that's the case, then the Piri Reis map could be one of the last echoes of an ancient tradition, one that once held secrets about a world we no longer recognize. Chapter 6. The Skeptical View. Of course, there's a more conventional explanation, that the landmass on the map isn't Antarctica at all. Some scholars argue that Piri Reis was simply misinterpreting South America. During the 16th century, European mapmakers often stretched and distorted landmasses due to a lack of accurate information. Some believe that what appears to be Antarctica is actually an elongated version of Argentina and the surrounding coastline. If that's true, then the mystery disappears. But there's one problem. The map is surprisingly accurate in areas that shouldn't have been known at the time. Even if the Antarctic connection is incorrect, the fact that it includes details about coastlines and islands that hadn't yet been explored still raises important questions about where this knowledge came from. Chapter 7. The mystery remains. To this day, no one can fully explain how the Piri Reis map was created. If it truly shows Antarctica without ice, then it suggests that someone mapped it thousands of years ago. If it was based on older maps, then we have to ask, who made those maps in the first place? And if it was a mistake, why does it still include so many unexplained details? Maybe we'll never know. But what's certain is this: the Piri Reis map is not the only historical artifact that suggests early civilizations may have been more advanced than we ever imagined. And next, we move to something even older, an ancient site that rewrites everything we thought we knew about early human civilization. A discovery that rewrote history. For centuries, we believed that human civilization began around 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. The first cities, the first temples, the first organized societies, everything we associate with advanced human culture, was thought to have emerged only after people settled down, learned to farm, and built permanent homes. But then, in the rolling hills of southeastern Turkey, archaeologists unearthed something impossible. A site so ancient, so sophisticated, that it shattered everything we thought we knew. A 12,000-year-old temple complex, built before the pyramids, before writing, before even the first known cities. Its discovery suggests that civilization may have begun not with farming, but with something far more mysterious. This is the mystery of Göbekli Tepe, the temple that shouldn't exist. Chapter 1. The Accidental Discovery. In the early 1960s, a team of archaeologists surveying southeastern Turkey stumbled upon what they assumed was just another ancient settlement. They noticed some stone fragments and small artifacts on the surface but saw nothing that suggested the site was particularly unusual. The area was recorded, but nothing was excavated. For decades, Göbekli Tepe remained forgotten beneath the earth. It wasn't until 1994, when a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt returned to the site, that the truth began to emerge. As Schmidt and his team started digging, they weren't prepared for what they were about to uncover. Beneath the soil were massive, perfectly carved limestone pillars, arranged in circular enclosures, structures that shouldn't have existed at the time they were built. And then came the real shock. When the team ran radiocarbon tests, the results sent a wave of disbelief through the archaeological community. Göbekli Tepe was built over 12,000 years ago, before the invention of farming, before pottery, and long before any known civilization. How was that possible? Chapter 2. The Impossible Architecture. At first glance, Göbekli Tepe looks like an early form of temple or ceremonial center. Each of its circular structures contains towering T-shaped limestone pillars, some standing over 20 feet, 6 meters tall and weighing up to 20 tons. The stone surfaces are covered in intricate carvings of animals, snakes, scorpions, foxes, boars, along with strange humanoid figures. The craftsmanship is precise, too advanced for a simple hunter-gatherer society. Even stranger, there's no evidence that people lived at the site. There are no homes, no cooking areas, and no signs of permanent settlement. This suggests that Göbekli Tepe was purely a ceremonial place, built for reasons we still don't fully understand. But how could a group of simple hunter-gatherers, living in a time before metal tools or agriculture, have organized the manpower, engineering skill, and resources to construct such a massive and complex site? The answer remains unknown. Chapter 3. The Mystery of the Carvings. One of the most intriguing aspects of Göbekli Tepe is its detailed carvings, dozens of images depicting animals, abstract symbols, and strange figures. Some archaeologists believe these carvings have deep symbolic meaning, possibly representing myths, spiritual beliefs, or warnings about cosmic events. One of the most debated carvings is known as the vulture stone. Some researchers believe that this T-shaped pillar contains star maps, possibly recording a cataclysmic event that occurred around 12,800 years ago, an event that may have reshaped human history. This aligns with the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, a controversial theory suggesting that a comet or asteroid struck Earth around that time, causing massive floods, climate shifts, and possibly wiping out an advanced prehistoric civilization. Was Göbekli Tepe built by the survivors of this lost civilization? And if so, were its carvings meant to preserve the memory of a forgotten cataclysm? Chapter 4. A Temple Before Civilization. One of the most groundbreaking ideas about Göbekli Tepe is that it challenges everything we thought we knew about the rise of civilization. For decades, the standard historical model suggested that humans first developed agriculture, then formed permanent settlements, then built temples and cities. Göbekli Tepe suggests the opposite may be true. Some archaeologists now believe that sites like this may have inspired early humans to settle down and develop farming, rather than the other way around. If true, this means that civilization may have started with religion, ritual, and complex social organization, rather than with farming alone. That would make Göbekli Tepe not just the first known temple, but the birthplace of civilization itself. Chapter 5. Why was it buried? Perhaps the most puzzling mystery of Göbekli Tepe is what happened to it. At some point, around 8000 BCE, the entire site was deliberately buried. Its massive pillars were carefully covered with dirt, hiding them from the world for thousands of years. Why? Was it abandoned and sealed off by its builders, to preserve its sacred significance? Was it intentionally hidden to protect it from an unknown threat? Or did a later culture, not understanding its purpose, decide to erase it from history? To this day, no one knows why it was buried. But if Göbekli Tepe truly represents the earliest known attempt at civilization, then its sudden disappearance raises an unsettling possibility. What if this wasn't the first time history had to start over? Chapter 6. What else is still buried? The story of Göbekli Tepe raises an even bigger question. What else is hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be rediscovered? If a massive, sophisticated site like this could remain buried for 12,000 years, how many other unknown ruins could be out there? Archaeologists have barely begun to uncover Göbekli Tepe. Only a fraction of the site has been excavated. Some believe that even older structures might still be waiting beneath the surface. And Göbekli Tepe isn't alone. Across the world, in the jungles, deserts, and ocean depths, there are places that don't fit the official timeline, sites that suggest our history is much deeper and more complex than we ever imagined. In the next episode, we'll explore one of the most controversial discoveries ever made. An ancient site that seems to suggest that humans may have lived in the Americas tens of thousands of years earlier than we thought possible. A site so old, that if confirmed, it would completely rewrite the history of human migration. The discovery that shouldn't exist. For decades, archaeologists believed they had a solid understanding of when the first humans arrived in the Americas. According to mainstream history, humans migrated from Siberia into North America about 13,000 years ago, crossing a land bridge that once connected Russia and Alaska. These early settlers, known as the Clovis people, were thought to be the first inhabitants of the continent. But in 2017, a discovery in Southern California completely shattered this timeline. A team of researchers uncovered a set of ancient bones and tools, evidence suggesting that humans were in North America not 13,000 years ago, but 130,000 years ago. If this is true, it means that everything we thought we knew about early human migration is wrong. This is the mystery of the Cheruti Mastodon site, the discovery that could rewrite history. Chapter 1. The Discovery. The story begins in 1992, when a group of paleontologists from the San Diego Natural History Museum was conducting routine highway excavations. They were working near San Diego, California, when they stumbled upon something unusual, the remains of an ancient mastodon. At first, it seemed like just another Ice Age fossil, but as they continued digging, they noticed something strange. The bones weren't scattered randomly like they would be in a natural death. Instead, they appeared broken in specific ways, as if they had been deliberately shattered with tools. And then came the real shock. Next to the mastodon bones, the team found large, heavy stones that showed clear signs of being used as hammers and anvils. Someone, or something, had broken these bones with intelligent intent. But who could have done this? The bones were buried under layers of sediment dating back 130,000 years, more than 100,000 years before humans were even supposed to exist in North America. It was a mystery that would challenge everything we thought we knew. Chapter 2. The Evidence. As the team carefully analyzed the bones, they noticed clear breakage patterns, spiral fractures that occur when fresh bones are cracked open. This was not the result of natural decay or animal scavenging. The bones had been smashed precisely, in ways seen only when humans break bones to extract marrow or create tools. The surrounding rocks also told a strange story. These were not ordinary stones. They were large, heavy, and clearly out of place, as if someone had brought them to the site deliberately. Many showed impact marks, consistent with being used as tools, hammers and anvils used to break open bones for food or other purposes. For years, archaeologists studied the site, using every possible test to debunk the idea that humans were responsible. Could the bones have been broken by natural forces? Unlikely. Could the stones have ended up there by accident? Extremely unlikely. Could animals have done this? No known animal breaks bones this way. The conclusion was inescapable. Something, or someone, was at this site 130,000 years ago, using tools to break bones. If this was true, it meant humans reached North America over 100,000 years earlier than mainstream history allows. And that raised a terrifying question. Who were they? Chapter 3. Who could they have been? If humans were in North America 130,000 years ago, it means we have a massive missing chapter of history. But this raises an even bigger problem. According to our current understanding, Homo sapiens, modern humans, didn't leave Africa until about 60,000 years ago. So if humans didn't arrive in North America until much later, who was here 130,000 years ago? There are a few possibilities. 1. Early Homo sapiens arrived much earlier than we thought. This would completely rewrite human migration history. It would mean that seafaring or land migrations were happening long before we ever suspected. 2. Another species of ancient humans reached North America first. This could include Neanderthals, Denisovans, or even a still unknown hominid species. We know that Neanderthals lived in Europe and Asia around this time, and Denisovans were in Siberia. Could one of these groups have crossed the Pacific or walked into the Americas? 3. A lost civilization that we've never identified. If a group of intelligent beings was in North America 130,000 years ago, why is there no other evidence of them? Could they have been wiped out by a catastrophe? Did they vanish before leaving a trace? No matter the answer, the implications are huge. If humans, or another intelligent species, were in the Americas 100,000 years before we thought, what else is hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be found? Chapter 4. Why is this controversial? The Cerruti mastodon discovery is one of the most controversial findings in modern archaeology. Many scientists refuse to accept it. Some argue that the bones were broken naturally. Others claim that ancient humans simply weren't capable of reaching North America so early. Some dismiss it outright, saying the dating must be wrong. But despite the skepticism, the evidence remains. The bones were broken in a way that strongly suggests human activity. The stones were used like tools. The sediment dates to 130,000 years ago. If true, this means that everything we thought we knew about early humans is wrong. Chapter 5. What if this is just the beginning? The discovery at Cerruti Mastodon raises a terrifying possibility. What if we've completely misunderstood human history? If there were intelligent beings in North America 130,000 years ago, it means we've only uncovered a tiny fraction of our true past. And it makes you wonder, what else is still buried beneath the earth, waiting to be found? Some researchers now believe that more sites like Cerruti Mastodon are out there, but we haven't looked in the right places. What if other ancient civilizations have been lost to time, wiped out by cataclysms, rising oceans, or mass extinctions? If we've already missed 100,000 years of history, how many other stories have been erased? The Cerruti Mastodon site forces us to rethink everything. Were there forgotten civilizations in the Americas before recorded history? Did an earlier group of humans, or another species, reach the New World long before we ever imagined? And if they did, what happened to them? The mystery remains. Conclusion. What else have we missed? For now, the Cheruti Mastodon discovery remains one of the biggest puzzles in archaeology. If confirmed, it would mean that humans, or something like us, were living in North America over 100,000 years earlier than we ever believed. But this might be just the beginning. In the next episode, we explore another mind-bending discovery, a site deep in the Amazon rainforest that may be proof of a lost civilization far older than the Inca or Maya. A civilization that built massive geoglyphs, roads, and complex cities, yet was somehow forgotten by history. A civilization forgotten by time. Deep in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, hidden beneath dense vegetation, lie the remains of something extraordinary: vast geometric earthworks, roads stretching for miles, and evidence of complex settlements. For centuries, scholars believed that the Amazon was too harsh to sustain large civilizations. The idea of ancient cities deep in the jungle was dismissed as a myth. But recent discoveries have shattered this assumption. Archaeologists are now uncovering proof of a lost civilization, one that may have rivaled the great cities of Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Maya. But if these civilizations thrived in the Amazon, what happened to them? And why was their existence erased from history? Today, we unravel the enigma of the lost cities of the Amazon, a mystery so profound that it could rewrite the history of the Americas. Chapter 1. The Myth of the Lost Amazon Cities. For centuries, explorers searching for the Amazon's secrets spoke of a lost civilization hidden within the jungle. The most famous of these stories is the legend of El Dorado, a magnificent city of gold, hidden somewhere in South America. In the 16th century, Spanish conquistadors like Francisco de Orellana traveled deep into the Amazon in search of this fabled kingdom. Orellana, the first European to navigate the Amazon River, reported encountering large cities, massive roads, and organized societies along the riverbanks. But when later explorers retraced his journey, they found nothing. The cities were gone. For centuries, historians dismissed Orellana's accounts as exaggerations or fabrications. They believed that the Amazon was too poor in nutrients to sustain large populations. The prevailing theory was that only small, scattered tribes had ever lived there. But as we'll see, the jungle was hiding something far older, and far more advanced, than anyone imagined. Chapter 2. The Discovery of the Geoglyphs. In the early 21st century, satellite imagery began revealing something strange in the Amazon basin. As large sections of rainforest were cleared for farming, researchers noticed massive geometric patterns appearing in the exposed earth. These were not natural formations. They were geoglyphs, huge earthworks carved into the ground, similar to the famous Nazca lines in Peru. The shapes were precise: circles, squares, hexagons, and even complex patterns that covered miles. Archaeologists were stunned. The geoglyphs had been hidden beneath the jungle for centuries, preserved in the soil, waiting to be rediscovered. Further research revealed over 450 geoglyphs spread across the western Amazon, with some estimates suggesting that thousands more may still be buried beneath the trees. These structures were deliberately built, but by who? And why? The presence of these geometric formations proved one thing beyond doubt: the Amazon was once home to a lost civilization. Chapter 3. The Lost Roads and Cities. As research continued, archaeologists discovered something even more astonishing: a vast network of roads, canals, and settlements beneath the jungle canopy. Using lidar, light detection, and ranging technology, researchers scanned the forest floor and uncovered the remains of massive urban centers. One of the most significant discoveries was made in the Bolivian Amazon, where scientists found a complex network of interconnected cities. These cities featured wide roads, some stretching for miles. They had plazas, terraces, and raised platforms, indicating sophisticated urban planning. There were canals and reservoirs, showing that these ancient people had mastered water management. The scale of the settlements was unbelievable. Some were so large that they may have housed tens of thousands of people, on par with the great civilizations of Mesopotamia and the Maya. But if these cities were so advanced, why did they disappear? Chapter 4. What happened to them? One of the greatest mysteries surrounding the Amazon civilizations is their sudden disappearance. Theories range from environmental collapse to invasions and even disease brought by European explorers. One possibility is that their farming techniques, which relied on burning sections of the forest, eventually depleted the soil, making large-scale agriculture unsustainable. Another theory suggests that disease, especially smallpox and other European illnesses, wiped out as much as 90% of the indigenous population before the civilizations could be properly documented. Some archaeologists believe the jungle itself may have reclaimed these lost cities over time, hiding them beneath thick vegetation. Whatever the cause, these civilizations were erased from history, leaving behind only faint traces of their existence. Chapter 5. The Mystery of Terra Preta. One of the greatest pieces of evidence that the Amazon housed an advanced civilization is the existence of Terra Preta, a mysterious, man-made soil that defies scientific explanation. The natural soil of the Amazon is poor in nutrients, too weak to support large populations. But researchers discovered patches of dark, fertile earth scattered throughout the region, land that had been deliberately engineered to sustain agriculture. Terra Preta is incredibly rich, capable of growing crops even in areas where natural soil cannot. Unlike regular soil, Terra Preta regenerates over time, something that modern science still struggles to fully understand. Who created it? How did they figure out how to make soil more fertile, something that even today's scientists struggle with? And if they mastered soil engineering, what other forgotten knowledge might they have possessed? Chapter 6. What else is still out there? If the Amazon once supported an advanced civilization, what else is hidden beneath the canopy? Some researchers believe that dozens, possibly hundreds, of lost cities remain undiscovered, buried under centuries of vegetation. The more we uncover, the more we realize how little we actually know about the past. Were these civilizations as advanced as the Maya? Did they leave behind records that have yet to be found? And the biggest question of all, are there even older civilizations hidden beneath the Amazon, ones that existed before recorded history? Conclusion. The Amazon's greatest secret. For centuries, the idea of lost civilizations in the Amazon was dismissed as fantasy. But today, we have concrete evidence that advanced societies once thrived here. Civilizations that built vast cities, engineered soil, and constructed massive geoglyphs still visible from the sky. How many more secrets does the Amazon hold? And if such a civilization could disappear without a trace, what else has been erased from history? A city beneath the earth. Throughout history, humanity has built remarkable cities, towering structures, sprawling metropolises, and incredible feats of engineering. But beneath the surface of our world lies something even more unbelievable. Entire cities carved directly into the rock, hidden away from the world for thousands of years. One of the greatest of these is Derinkuyu, an underground city in Turkey so vast and complex that even today, we still don't fully understand how or why it was built. Who created this subterranean metropolis? What purpose did it serve? And could there be even more hidden cities beneath our feet, waiting to be discovered? Tonight, we descend deep into the earth to uncover the secrets of Derinkuyu, the ancient underground megacity that defies explanation. Chapter 1. The Accidental Discovery. For centuries, the underground city of Derinkuyu lay hidden beneath the quiet town of the same name in central Turkey, buried beneath layers of volcanic rock. Its existence was a complete mystery, until 1963, when a simple home renovation led to one of the most astonishing discoveries in archaeology. A man, while remodeling his basement, knocked down a wall, only to reveal a dark passageway leading deep underground. As he and his neighbors explored further, they found tunnels, rooms, staircases, and entire hallways stretching beyond what anyone had imagined. What they had stumbled upon was no ordinary basement. It was an underground city, lost to time, hidden beneath their very feet. But as researchers investigated, they realized this was just the beginning of the mystery. Chapter 2. The Impossible Depths of Derinkuyu. As archaeologists began exploring Derinkuyu, they quickly realized that this was no small settlement. It was an entire multi-level city, carved directly into solid volcanic rock. The city extends over 280 feet, 85 meters deep. It consists of at least 18 floors, though some believe more levels remain undiscovered. It could house 20,000 to 30,000 people, along with food, livestock, and supplies. It contains storage rooms, kitchens, stables, schools, and even places of worship, all underground. And the most mind-boggling part, no one knows who built it or how they managed such an engineering feat thousands of years ago. Some historians suggest it was carved by the Phrygians around 800 BCE. Others believe it was even older, possibly created by Hittites or an unknown ancient civilization. But there's one thing everyone agrees on. Derinkuyu wasn't just a shelter, it was a fortress. Chapter 3. A city built for survival. One of the most puzzling aspects of Derinkuyu is the level of defensive engineering built into its design. This wasn't just a city, it was a fortified underground stronghold, designed to keep something out. Massive stone doors could be rolled into place to seal off tunnels. Ventilation shafts ensured a steady flow of oxygen, allowing people to survive underground for long periods. Deep wells provided fresh water, preventing the city from being cut off during a siege. Narrow passageways and dead ends were designed to confuse and trap invaders. Who, or what, were they hiding from? Some believe the city was built as a refuge from war, possibly used by early Christians fleeing Roman persecution. Others suggest it was made to protect against foreign invasions, such as those from the Mongols or Persians. But an even stranger theory suggests that Derinkuyu was built for something far older and more terrifying, a cataclysm that threatened the entire world. Chapter 4. Was Derinkuyu a refuge from an ancient disaster? There is another possibility, one that takes us deep into the ancient past. Some researchers believe Derinkuyu wasn't just a fortress, it was a survival bunker built to protect its inhabitants from a global catastrophe. One theory suggests that it was constructed to survive an ice age or extreme climate event. Others believe it was used as protection from solar flares, comet impacts, or cosmic radiation, natural disasters that could have forced ancient civilizations to retreat underground. This idea gains even more weight when compared to similar underground cities found across the world. In India, massive underground cave systems like Ellora hint at civilizations retreating beneath the earth. In China, vast tunnels in ancient cities suggest an unknown history of underground habitation. Even in South America, legends speak of hidden subterranean worlds, possibly connected to an ancient, lost civilization. If Derinkuyu was part of a global network of underground refuges, what exactly were these ancient civilizations trying to escape from? Chapter 5. Could there be more hidden cities? If Derinkuyu remained undiscovered until 1963, how many more underground cities could still be hidden beneath the earth? Some researchers believe Derinkuyu may be connected to an even larger network of underground tunnels spanning hundreds of miles across Turkey. Nearby, another underground city called Kaymakli has been discovered, possibly linked to Derinkuyu through a series of hidden tunnels. Some believe that these underground cities are just the tip of the iceberg, and that deeper, even older civilizations may still lie buried beneath our feet. What if entire chapters of history have been lost, sealed away in underground labyrinths we haven't even begun to explore? Chapter 6. Who built Derinkuyu? Theories and speculation. The biggest question of all remains: who built Derinkuyu, and how did they do it? Several theories have been proposed. The Phrygians 800 BCE, some believe they carved the city, but its construction seems far older than their known settlements. The Hittites 1600–1200 BCE, an advanced Bronze Age civilization that may have begun the excavation. A lost prehistoric civilization, before 3000 BCE, some researchers believe Derinkuyu could be far older than mainstream archaeology suggests. There are also more unconventional theories. Some believe Derinkuyu was built by an ancient, technologically advanced civilization that predated all known history. Others suggest it may have been inspired by extraterrestrial knowledge, pointing to the sheer scale and complexity of its construction. A few even argue that Derinkuyu could be connected to myths of Agartha or the Hollow Earth, suggesting that ancient legends of underground realms may have some basis in reality. While mainstream archaeology remains skeptical of these ideas, one thing is certain: Derinkuyu is far older, more complex, and more mysterious than we ever imagined. Conclusion: the underground world that time forgot. The discovery of Derinkuyu shattered everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. It proves that ancient humans were capable of incredible engineering feats, ones that still baffle us today. But it also raises more questions than it answers. What other hidden cities remain undiscovered beneath our feet? Could even older underground structures still be waiting to be found? And most importantly, what was so terrifying that an entire civilization fled beneath the earth? The ruins that shouldn't exist. Scattered across the world are ancient ruins that defy logic, massive stone structures so precisely cut and arranged that even with modern technology, replicating them would be a challenge. But in the highlands of Bolivia, at nearly 13,000 feet above sea level, lies a site so mysterious, so impossible, that some researchers believe it shouldn't exist at all. This is Puma Punku, an ancient complex near Tiwanaku that features some of the most precisely cut stones in the world. So smooth, so sharp, and so geometrically perfect that they resemble modern machine work. But here's the mystery: who built Puma Punku? How did they cut and move its massive stones? And could this site be the remains of a lost, technologically advanced civilization? Tonight, we journey deep into the Andes to uncover the secrets of Puma Punku, the ancient site that rewrites history. Chapter 1. The Enigma of Puma Punku. Puma Punku sits near the Tiwanaku ruins, an archaeological site in modern-day Bolivia. While Tiwanaku itself is a fascinating ancient city, Puma Punku stands apart as something truly extraordinary. Unlike other ancient stonework, the ruins of Puma Punku are composed of gigantic andesite and red sandstone blocks, many weighing between 100 and 150 tons. But what truly baffles researchers is the precision of these stones. Laser-sharp edges. The cuts are so clean and precise that they resemble modern CNC machining, not primitive chisels. Perfectly drilled holes. Some blocks feature drill holes spaced so evenly that even modern engineers struggle to explain how they were made. Interlocking H-blocks. These complex, puzzle-like stone pieces fit together in a way that suggests an advanced understanding of engineering and design. And yet, Puma Punku is believed to have been built over 1,000 years ago, long before the Inca Empire, and possibly much earlier. If these ruins are that old, then the real question becomes: who built them, and how? Chapter 2. The Lost Civilization of Tiwanaku. Archaeologists believe Puma Punku was once part of Tiwanaku, an ancient civilization that flourished in the Bolivian highlands around 201,000 CE. The Tiwanaku people are thought to have been skilled engineers, mastering stonework, agriculture, and irrigation. But here's where things get strange. No tools capable of cutting these stones have been found. No records exist explaining how Puma Punku was built. The site was mysteriously abandoned long before the Spanish arrived. Even more baffling, some researchers believe Puma Punku may be far older than Tiwanaku itself. Radiocarbon dating of organic material from the site suggests it could date back at least 2,000 years, but some geologists and historians argue that the site may be much older, possibly 12,000 years or more. If that's true, then Puma Punku wasn't built by the Tiwanaku people, so who built it? Chapter 3. How were the stones cut? Theories and speculation. The precision of Puma Punku stonework has led to heated debates among archaeologists, engineers, and alternative historians. There are three main theories attempting to explain how the stones were cut and shaped. 1. The mainstream view: primitive tools and skilled labor. Traditional archaeology suggests the Tiwanaku people used stone hammers, chisels, and sheer manpower to shape and move these massive blocks. But there's a problem. Andesite is one of the hardest natural stones in the world, harder than iron. Copper and bronze tools, which were available at the time, are too soft to cut andesite with the precision seen at Puma Punku. No evidence of large-scale quarries, chisels, or carving tools has been found at the site. So if they didn't use primitive tools, what did they use? 2. The lost technology theory. Some researchers believe Puma Punku is evidence of an unknown ancient technology, a technique for cutting and shaping stone that has since been lost. Acoustic levitation. Some theorists suggest the builders may have used sound frequencies to manipulate and lift stone, similar to ancient Tibetan and Egyptian legends. Stone softening technology. Others believe an advanced civilization may have had access to a chemical process that softened stone, allowing it to be shaped with ease. Unknown mechanical tools. There's a possibility that the Tiwanaku people, or an even older civilization, developed metal tools or machines that were later lost to history. 3. The ancient astronaut hypothesis. Perhaps the most controversial theory of all comes from ancient astronaut theorists, who believe Puma Punku was not built by humans alone. They argue that the extreme precision of the stonework suggests an advanced understanding of engineering that wasn't present in any known ancient civilization. The perfectly drilled holes and interlocking stones resemble modern construction techniques, raising the question of whether outside influence played a role. Some even believe the site may have been an ancient landing platform or spaceport, though no solid evidence supports this claim. While mainstream archaeologists reject these ideas, the mystery remains: how did an ancient civilization achieve such impossible precision? Chapter 4. Theories on why Puma Punku was built. Even if we set aside the mystery of how Puma Punku was built, another question remains: why? Some theories suggest it was a ceremonial or religious center, possibly dedicated to a lost deity. An advanced city or fortress, serving as the heart of the Tiwanaku civilization. An astronomical observatory, aligned with celestial bodies in ways we don't yet understand. The remnants of an even older civilization, possibly one that existed before a global catastrophe. Some researchers believe Puma Punku's design and alignment could hint at an advanced understanding of astrology and mathematics. Others argue that the complex interlocking stones could suggest a civilization that had mastered earthquake-proof construction, far ahead of its time. Whatever the truth, Puma Punku remains one of the most baffling ancient sites in the world. Conclusion. A site that changes history. Puma Punku is more than just an archaeological mystery, it's a challenge to everything we think we know about ancient civilizations. If a high-altitude civilization thousands of years ago could create precision-cut megaliths, what else were they capable of? Could Puma Punku be evidence of a lost chapter in human history, one where knowledge and technology disappeared before modern civilization ever began? And if this site is just one of many across the world, how many more ancient ruins are still waiting to be uncovered? A monument out of time. For thousands of years, the Great Sphinx of Giza has stood as one of the most iconic and mysterious monuments in the world. Carved from a single block of limestone, this enigmatic statue, half lion, half man, gazes endlessly toward the horizon, as if guarding the secrets of an ancient past. But there's something strange about the Sphinx. The true age of the monument is still debated. Could it be far older than historians claim? The weathering patterns on its body don't match its supposed time of construction. Some believe there may be hidden chambers and tunnels beneath the Sphinx, containing long-lost knowledge of a forgotten civilization. Could the Sphinx be a relic from an unknown chapter of history, one that predates even the pyramids themselves. Tonight, we journey into the heart of ancient Egypt to unravel the mystery of the Great Sphinx, a monument that science still struggles to explain. Chapter 1. The official story versus the mystery. The mainstream archaeological view states that the Great Sphinx was built during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre around 2500 BCE, during the Old Kingdom period of Egypt. However, there are several problems with this dating. No ancient records exist that clearly state who built the Sphinx, when, or why. Unlike the pyramids, no hieroglyphs, inscriptions, or texts have been found that definitively connect the Sphinx to Khafre. The Sphinx's body shows heavy weathering, but the head does not, suggesting it may have been recarved at some point in history. Even more intriguingly, some evidence suggests the Sphinx could be thousands of years older than mainstream scholars believe. This leads us to one of the biggest controversies in Egyptology, the true age of the Great Sphinx. Chapter 2. The Water Erosion Theory. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence challenging the official timeline of the Sphinx comes from geologists, rather than historians. In the early 1990s, Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University, studied the erosion patterns on the Sphinx and made a shocking discovery. The Sphinx shows deep vertical weathering patterns, resembling erosion caused by heavy rainfall, not sand or wind. The problem: Egypt has been a desert for the past 5,000 years. The last time Egypt experienced long periods of heavy rainfall was between 10,000 and 7,000 BCE, during the end of the last ice age. This means that the Sphinx could be at least 12,000 years old, possibly even older. If true, that would place its construction long before the rise of the pharaohs, in a time when no known civilization existed. So, if the Sphinx was built thousands of years before the pyramids, who built it? Chapter 3. The Lost Civilization Hypothesis. If the Great Sphinx is far older than we thought, then its existence suggests that an advanced civilization existed in Egypt long before recorded history. Several researchers and alternative historians propose that Egypt was once home to an unknown, pre-dynastic civilization, one capable of large-scale stone construction. This civilization may have been wiped out by a catastrophic event, such as a flood or sudden climate change. The pharaohs may have discovered the already ancient Sphinx and recarved its head into the form we see today. Supporting this theory, some researchers believe the head of the Sphinx is disproportionately small compared to its body. Could this mean the original head was something else entirely, perhaps a lion, jackal, or even a different deity, before it was altered? Mainstream Egyptologists reject these ideas, but if the Sphinx is truly 12,000 plus years old, it means an entire lost chapter of history has been erased from our records. Chapter 4. What lies beneath? The search for hidden chambers. Another mystery surrounding the Great Sphinx is what might be hidden beneath it. For centuries, legends have spoken of underground tunnels and chambers beneath the Sphinx, possibly containing the Hall of Records, an alleged archive of ancient knowledge from a lost civilization. Secret passageways leading to the pyramids, suggesting the structures are connected. Hidden tombs are artifacts that could rewrite Egyptian history. In the 1990s, researchers used ground-penetrating radar around the Sphinx and made a shocking discovery: there are anomalous cavities and tunnels beneath the monument. Some readings suggest a large chamber may exist beneath the Sphinx's paws. Egyptian authorities have largely restricted excavation in the area, fueling speculation about what might be hidden. Could there be something buried beneath the Sphinx that challenges everything we know about history? And if so, why is it being kept secret? Chapter 5. A connection to the stars. Many ancient monuments around the world have astronomical alignments, and the Great Sphinx is no exception. Some researchers believe the Sphinx was built to align with the constellations, particularly Leo, which resembles a lion. Here's where it gets interesting. Around 10,500 BCE, the constellation Leo would have risen directly in front of the Sphinx during the spring equinox. This matches the possible age suggested by the water erosion theory. The pyramids themselves are believed to align with Orion's belt, further suggesting that Egypt's monuments were connected to the stars. Could this mean the Sphinx was part of an ancient astronomical complex, built to track the stars and mark an important time in history? Some theorists suggest it might have even been a marker of a past cataclysm, serving as a warning to future generations. Conclusion. A monument of forgotten knowledge. The Great Sphinx remains one of the biggest enigmas of ancient history. If the Sphinx is much older than we thought, then who built it? Could it be a surviving relic from an advanced civilization lost to time? And what secrets still lie beneath the sands, waiting to be uncovered? Mainstream archaeology insists that the Sphinx was built during the Old Kingdom, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Until excavations are allowed beneath the monument, the true history of the Great Sphinx will remain one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. A feat beyond imagination. Deep in the heart of India, hidden among hills and jungles, lie some of the most astonishing temples in the world. Unlike the massive stone structures of Egypt or Mesopotamia, these temples weren't built stone by stone. They were carved directly into solid rock, as if entire mountains were sculpted like clay. Among them, one stands above the rest in sheer mystery, the Kailasa Temple, part of the Ellora Caves. This is no ordinary temple. It was carved from a single rock, top down, with no margin for error. The amount of rock removed is estimated at 400,000 tons, but no one knows how. Despite being made from unyielding basalt, the temple is intricately detailed, with precision we struggle to replicate even today. How was it built? Who had the knowledge and tools to accomplish such a feat? Some believe it was created with forgotten advanced technology, while others suggest a connection to something beyond human ability. Tonight, we explore the impossible temples of India, and the mysteries hidden within their walls. Chapter 1. The Enigma of the Kailasa Temple. The Ellora Caves, located in Maharashtra, India, are a collection of 34 rock-cut temples dating back over 1,500 years. But one structure stands out among them, the Kailasa Temple, dedicated to Lord Shiva. This temple is not just carved into a rock face like the others. Instead, it was carved from the top down into the solid basalt mountain, meaning the builders did not add material, they removed it. They had to carve every pillar, corridor, and chamber perfectly, with no mistakes. If a single miscalculation was made, the structure would be ruined, yet it is perfectly symmetrical. Modern engineers are baffled by the process. To remove 400,000 tons of rock by hand chiseling alone would take centuries. But ancient records suggest it was completed in just 18 years. How was this possible? This leads us to the first great mystery, the lost technology of ancient India. Chapter 2. Lost ancient technology. Carving a temple like Kailasa with primitive tools seems impossible. The temple's intricate details suggest tools far beyond what conventional history tells us were available at the time. Some carvings are so precise that they look as if they were laser-cut or machined. There is no evidence of tool marks or mistakes, suggesting an extremely advanced carving method. So what kind of technology did they use? Some researchers suggest the ancient builders may have had access to vibrational cutting techniques, using sound frequencies to weaken the rock, similar to how modern ultrasonic cutting tools work. Others point to ancient Indian texts that describe mystical tools and flying machines known as vimanas, which supposedly had anti-gravity properties. Could ancient civilizations have possessed lost knowledge that we can't even comprehend today? Or did they receive help from somewhere else? Chapter 3. Myths of divine or extraterrestrial assistance. The construction of Kailasa Temple is so extraordinary that some legends say it was not built by humans at all. Ancient Indian texts describe the temple as having been created by celestial beings in a single night. In Hindu mythology, the temple is believed to have been built by the gods as a replica of Mount Kailash, the heavenly abode of Lord Shiva. Some believe the structure is not just a temple, but a machine, designed to harness energy from the earth. Others go even further, suggesting it was a landing site for extraterrestrials, or evidence of ancient advanced beings that once roamed the earth. These theories sound far-fetched, but the sheer precision of the temple's construction challenges everything we know about history. Could these myths be echoes of a lost truth, a time when knowledge far beyond our understanding existed? Chapter 4. The Other Impossible Temples of India. The Kailasa Temple is not the only rock-cut wonder in India. There are several other ancient sites that defy explanation, including 1. The Hoysaleswara Temple, Karnataka, India. This 12th century temple contains carvings so intricate that some appear to depict modern technology, including what look like astronauts, spaceships, and advanced machinery. The craftsmanship is so detailed that modern sculptors struggle to replicate it with today's tools. 2. The Sun Temple of Konark, Odisha, India. Built in the 13th century, this temple was designed as a gigantic chariot of the sun god, complete with massive stone wheels. The wheels function as astronomical devices, tracking the movement of the sun with extreme precision. 3. The Padmanabhaswamy Temple, Kerala, India. This temple contains a sealed underground chamber, Vault B, that no one has been able to open. Legends warn that attempting to unlock it could bring catastrophic consequences, leading some to believe it hides something beyond human understanding. What secrets are still hidden within India's ancient temples? Could they contain clues to a lost civilization, one that had knowledge beyond our own? Chapter 5. Ancient India's Connection to Lost Civilizations. Some researchers believe that India's rock-cut temples may be linked to other ancient civilizations, perhaps even a global prehistoric culture. The top-down carving technique of Kailasa is eerily similar to methods seen in Petra, Jordan, and even Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Some theorists suggest that these ancient sites were built by the same unknown civilization, one that existed before recorded history. Could this civilization have been wiped out by a cataclysm, such as the Great Flood mentioned in myths across the world? If so, the surviving remnants of their knowledge may still be encoded in these structures, waiting to be unlocked. Conclusion. What are we missing? The rock-cut temples of India stand as silent witnesses to a forgotten past. If history is correct, they were built with simple chisels and manpower alone. But does that really explain their flawless precision and impossible scale? Could these temples be evidence of a lost civilization, one that had technologies and knowledge far beyond what we understand today? And most importantly, what else might still be waiting to be discovered? Mainstream history tells us one version of events, but the mysteries carved into India's ancient temples suggest that the true story of humanity is far older, and far stranger than we've been led to believe. Cities lost to time. The story of human civilization is written in stone, but what if some of the most important chapters lie beneath the ocean? Across the world, there are ruins submerged beneath the waves, suggesting that entire civilizations once thrived where only fish now swim. Some of these lost cities, like Dwarka in India, are mentioned in ancient texts. Others, like Yonaguni off the coast of Japan, appear to be vast artificial structures, but mainstream science hesitates to acknowledge them. Could these sunken ruins be proof that advanced civilizations existed long before history tells us they did? And if so, what wiped them from the earth? Tonight, we descend into the deep unknown to uncover the truth about the lost cities of the ancient world, and whether we're only scratching the surface of what lies beneath. Chapter 1. The Mystery of Dwarka, India's Atlantis. For centuries, the ancient Hindu epic, the Mahabharata, spoke of a legendary city, Dwarka, the Golden Kingdom of Lord Krishna. According to the text, Dwarka was a thriving metropolis, a place of unimaginable beauty, with palaces of gold and silver. But after a great war, it was said to have sunk beneath the sea, lost forever. For thousands of years, most historians dismissed Dwarka as myth, until underwater archaeologists actually found it. The discovery. In 2001, researchers found ruins 120 feet underwater, off the coast of modern-day Dwarka, India. These ruins contained massive stone structures, arranged in a grid-like pattern, suggesting they were once buildings, roads, and walls. Some of the artifacts recovered from the site date back 9,000 years, making it one of the oldest underwater ruins ever discovered. If true, that would mean Dwarka existed thousands of years before the earliest known civilizations, and long before history says cities should have even existed. Could this be proof of a forgotten civilization, one that thrived before being swallowed by the sea? And if so, how many more lost cities are still waiting to be found? Chapter 2. Yonaguni, a man-made structure or natural formation. Off the coast of Japan's Yonaguni Island, deep beneath the waves, lies one of the most controversial underwater discoveries of all time. In 1986, a diver stumbled upon a massive stone structure, with staircases, platforms, and straight-cut walls. The structure, now called the Yonaguni Monument, sits 100 feet below the surface and appears to be an enormous, multi-tiered complex. Some researchers believe it is a man-made pyramid, similar to those found in ancient Egypt or Mesoamerica. But mainstream archaeologists claim that Yonaguni is just a natural rock formation, shaped by underwater currents over thousands of years. Could nature really create something so geometrically perfect? Some theorists suggest that Yonaguni is the remnant of a lost civilization, possibly dating back to the last ice age. If true, it would rewrite history, proving that an advanced society existed over 12,000 years ago, long before the first known civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt. What else might lie hidden beneath the Pacific, waiting to be uncovered? Chapter 3. The Global Flood Myth, a memory of real events. Nearly every ancient culture has a story of a great flood, a cataclysmic event that destroyed an advanced civilization. The Bible speaks of Noah's Ark, a flood that wiped out humanity. The Epic of Gilgamesh, written in ancient Mesopotamia, describes a great deluge that ended an advanced kingdom. Hindu texts like the Manusmriti tell of a flood that destroyed an ancient civilization, leading to the rebirth of the world. Could these myths actually be memories of real events? Some researchers believe these stories may be connected to the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago. When sea levels rose dramatically due to melting glaciers. This sudden rise in water levels may have wiped out entire civilizations, leaving only scattered ruins beneath the sea. If an advanced culture once thrived before the flood, then the remains of their cities may still exist, deep underwater, hidden from view. Chapter 4. Other sunken cities that challenge history. While Dwarka and Yonaguni are among the most famous, they are far from the only submerged ruins found worldwide. 1. The lost city of Heraklion, Egypt's sunken metropolis. Once a thriving port city in ancient Egypt, Heraklion mysteriously sank beneath the Mediterranean over 1,200 years ago. When divers found it in 2000, they discovered massive temples, giant statues, and even ancient ships still preserved in the seabed. What caused it to sink? Earthquakes? A sudden flood? The answer remains unknown. 2. The ruins of Baalbek, a 9,500-year-old city in India. In 2001, sonar scans in the Gulf of Baalbek revealed the remains of a city-like structure submerged 120 feet underwater. If confirmed, the ruins could be over 9,500 years old, far older than any known civilization. However, mainstream archaeologists remain skeptical, claiming the findings lack solid evidence. 3. Pavlopetri, the world's oldest known sunken city. Located off the coast of Greece, Pavlopetri is over 5,000 years old and features roads, courtyards, and tombs, preserved in the seabed. Unlike other sunken cities, Pavlopetri was never believed to be mythical, but its discovery still challenges the timeline of civilization. How many more cities like these remain hidden beneath the waves? Could we one day discover evidence of a truly advanced lost civilization, one that thrived before history even began? Chapter 5. What else might be waiting to be found? Only 5% of the world's oceans have been explored. That means 95% remains unknown. If entire cities like Dwarka, Heracleion, and Pavlopetri can disappear beneath the waves, how many more lie waiting to be discovered? Could we one day find the real Atlantis, a sunken civilization so advanced that its technology was beyond even our own? Are there ruins at the bottom of the ocean that hold the true history of humanity, one we've completely forgotten? As technology advances, deep-sea exploration may one day reveal the truth. But until then, the lost cities of the world remain one of the greatest mysteries of our past. Conclusion. The final question. Over the past 10 episodes, we have explored the greatest ancient mysteries science can't explain, from impossible megaliths and ancient maps to lost civilizations and sunken cities. What does all of this tell us? Perhaps history is far older, far deeper, and far more mysterious than we've ever imagined. Perhaps the answers to our past aren't in books, but hidden in ruins, buried beneath the earth, and lying at the bottom of the sea. The truth is still out there, waiting to be found. Until next time, stay curious, and keep exploring the unknown.